Howdy, all of you delicious people. I'm here today to review She-Hulk Attorney at Law, Season 1, Episode 9. So, I gotta say that this episode should have been titled Marvel Gives No Fs. And if that F were to have been for effort, then really, for a season finale, I've never seen a show just completely roll over and give up like this did. But I gotta say, I laughed about this episode because I was like, this episode is so ridiculous that, this is the way this finishes up. Stretching and doing what it's doing, and I was just like, man, I am just to be baffled by the season finale. And so I was to just go on and be like, well, good frickin' riddance. I hope there never is a season 2 after this. I hope they just roll in She-Hulk into some other thing, because I could definitely not go on and watch a second season of this show. I don't care what they give me. They would have to give me, an Avengers kind of show. Every single episode would have to be some kind of, amazing, blowing out of the water thing for me to go on and be like, oh my god, yeah, I guess I should watch this. Because I made the mistake of watching the first season and not giving up at some point, like I did with Miss Marvel, in all honesty. So, teeing it up, what is this episode about? There is another clickbaiting thing by the end of this episode that deals with another Hulk character being added here, which, of course, some people may not know who he is, because, of course, it's a comic book character, in all honesty. And, of course, it's not Brawn, it's not Amadeus Cho, it's another Hulk character. So, go on and watch the episode if you haven't, for that, and probably just for that, and you'll realize how stupid this episode was. We have Daredevil barely in this last episode also, so if you want another clickbaiting thing to go on to this episode, to watch Daredevil do nothing, then he's just there, but it doesn't matter. So, with that said, teeing it up, what is this episode about? So, we go on to, of course, have Jen trying to figure out, after she is to go into jail and get the Blonsky treatment, who the intelligentsia are. Which I guess are mostly just males, because, wow, Marvel, that is a nice way to treat your audience, which is not the full audience. There, of course, are a huge, massive number of females also. I'm stating that. So that way, I'm trying not to offend anyone, because there is a thick number of female audience members of Marvel. Anyways, so we go into this episode, and Jen is to lose her job because she doesn't have superpowers anymore. I'll talk about that more when we get into spoilers. She then goes on to need to go to Blonsky's compound to get some therapy in, and that just leads her to find out that, of course, the villain is closer than she thinks. And so, all of a sudden, all this chaos starts to happen. Titania comes into fray, Bruce comes back, Abomination is to be Abomination, things are running wild and crazy, and She-Hulk is like, yeah, this is really our season finale? No, I don't want any of this stuff. And so She-Hulk ends up just getting so upset that she then has to go on and hack her way into Disney Plus to then speak to the Marvel Studios people directly, the horrible writers that somehow came up with any number of these ideas for the show. And then afterwards, we basically just let's wrap this show up with them going on and just having this like backyard dinner together, and I'm just like, wow, like this is a season finale. This is a show that ended. There is no way I could go on and justify watching a season 2 of this. You would have to give me like a team in every episode to like a whole team. Give me a whole team in every single episode so I can have other characters to play around with. So like cuz She-Hulk and like Hulks in general like are good as a team but individually not so well. Like even if you were to go on and give like Hulk his own movie, you would need characters like Ross and Betty and a number of other people to like, cause Hulk smash, yeah, like you would need some other characters. It couldn't just be Hulk destroying things, even though that would probably be a cool movie, right? Just 2 hours of Hulk just annihilating everything and nobody can do anything. It would basically be the equivalent of a Godzilla film, but it would be great. So, anyways, so let's get into that double five time territory. I think it's about that time yet again to just go into spoilers about this one, because it's just that time. Because there's nothing going on in this episode. Did you think that there was going to? So, immediately, I'm going to tell you who the other additional character is that they added into the end of this episode. So that way you can go on and know who this character is, especially because it's much more of a comic book tie. And I will do that as soon as we get into spoiler time. Spoiler time. It's about that time again to spoil this episode. I am specifically busting out a completely different spoiler time thing than I normally would, specifically for this episode. I don't know why. So justifyingly enough, let's go into it. So, in the beginning of this episode, we have Intelligentsia who had gone on and hacked this whole award show. She-Hulk is getting out of this award show, all upset and angry and whichever. And so, we then turn around and have the DODC who go on and arrest She-Hulk and give her the Blonsky prison supermax jail cell treatment. And so we of course have Nikki and the She-Hulk friends making their way to see Jen. And so Jen is like, well, okay, like, how am I going to go on and be able to get out of here? And so they're like, yeah, like, you're going to do the exact same thing that Blonsky just did, to where you can no longer become She-Hulk ever again. She ends up getting the bracelet treatment, and so now she can no longer become She-Hulk. But don't tell the show that, because at some point she's going to become She-Hulk anyways. So just don't tell her that, or remind her of that. But, so, because Abomination becomes Abomination anyways, and no red flags go off with the DODC or anything like that, right? Because show. So, She-Hulk goes on, or Jennifer now, goes on to live with her folks, and she is trying to do the Mandela kind of effect, or the Mandela effect, the mandala kind of like wall of trying to figure out how it's all connected, of the intelligentsia and how they were to go on and figure it all out. And we weirdly have some Hulk emoji or Funko Pop that's there, that's some image. So we have Jen and Nikki figuring this out, and so Jen is going on and she's like, I don't know what I'm going to do next, and Nikki's just like, well, like, I guess you can go on and go off and live with Blonsky, because he's offering. And so, because Jen, of course, is living with her parents, and her mom is going on and saying like, "Hey, I'm doing a workout tomorrow, like at 7 in the morning. Like, hey, you're free to join me." Because of course now Jen's room is now a workout room. So I don't think She-Hulk needs to go on it and do a workout. But anyways, so we turn around and also have Jen's father, who is turning the hose on a number of reviewers and a number of hoes. And because all these guys are reporting on some report about more things that they're unveiling or revealing about She-Hulk here. I also want to say this because I feel like I skipped past this. So we basically copy and paste the old Bixby, like the old Incredible Hulk show intro. We copy and paste from that, and we put that in the beginning of this episode. So I thought that was fun, like a little homage or a nod from that show. I liked that. It was fun, but I'm still like, we're wasting time here. Let's get to more of this episode. Because it doesn't feel like we're going to waste any time by talking about this one, are we? So, fourth wall breaking. So, we have Jen that goes on and is to live with Blonsky. And again, she ends up being with the Wrecker. And so Jen is going on and with the Wrecker and talking about like, hey man, like it seems like you're angry, like you're gonna go on and probably give us a really good therapy session tomorrow and kind of like release all the problems that you have deep down inside, that kind of thing. So we all of a sudden have this little kind of like motivational speaking kind of thing going on in Blonsky's area, which of course is a tie into the intelligentsia people without Jennifer even knowing. So we have this like kind of little motivational speaking thing, kind of like seminar thing going on with the intelligentsia without even of course Jen being aware. And so we have Nikki that goes on and is to put up some old video of Jen in her college co-ed days, just kind of, again, twerking and doing all these goofy dances. And so immediately somebody's like, oh my god, like, yeah, like, this is footage to make Jen look bad. Like, hey, come to our place and we can go on and like have you meet up with us. So Nikki is excited because she's like, yeah, like I know where these guys are and so I can defeat them, kind of thing. So Nikki is now running off to get to Pug, and so Pug is going to be the guy in this scenario because you can't have a woman come in there and hate She-Hulk, right? Is it just the guys that just don't like the show? I don't think so, because I've gone into a number of different women that have all reviewed this show, and a lot of them are just like, yeah, I couldn't even be bothered to watch this show. I couldn't even be bothered. Like, I'll talk about it, but I couldn't even be bothered to watch this show. Couldn't even be bothered. Be bothered? Anyways, baby talk. Anyways, so we have Pug go into this intelligentsia get-together as we come to find out that Todd is to be the ringleader of this whole thing. The guy that we had to just continue to put in this show for reasons that never made sense to me, but now it all makes sense that this guy has to be the villain of the intelligentsia. Because he's rich? I don't know. So, we have Pug, who is going on and talking crap about Jen, like all the stuff that is to just like fabricate and whatever, and how like she's sleeping with her boss and all this other garbage. So, and the guy's like, yeah. And like one of the guys is stating that it's like, yeah, like, you know what? I just don't like She-Hulk. Like regardless of her gender. Like if it was a dude, I'd hate her too. It's like, yeah, yeah, high five, yeah, woohoo. Wow, yeah, So we have Todd that goes into this whole speech, this whole thing about like what they're gonna go on and do, and that's really to just have the Abomination come in here and have him talk to all the guys, and so A-Bomb is like kind of like going and using his arms to get everybody to high five him all at once. So A-Bomb comes in, and this is when Jen slides her way into uh this whole thing here, this whole thing where A-Bomb is gonna go on and like start saying what he's gonna go on and do with these guys. And Jen is to go on and be like, wait a minute, like Blonsky, like I'm so hurt. Like you've turned against me and I represented you. And so Blonsky's like, oh no, like I go on and do all these kind of speeches all the time. Like it's fine. Yeah. So now all of a sudden all the chaos starts to erupt because random crap happens. So we all of a sudden have Titania that breaks through a wall after Todd is to go on and reveal that the wrecking crew getting She-Hulk's blood sample was all him, and so he is to now turn into a Hulk himself. And then Titania arrives, and then Bruce comes back, and then all heck just starts breaking loose. And Jenna's like, wait a minute, like, since when does Bruce come back? Like, what? Like, Todd is now a villain? Huh? Titania's here? Wait a minute, none of this makes sense. And so we just have She-Hulk who just stops everything and is to jump from her own She-Hulk Attorney at Law logo from the Disney Plus app to then jump into being able to talk with the Marvel Studios herself. She has now magically made her way to Marvel Studios, and so she is now walking through the studios, just going on like, hey, like, who do I need to talk to? Who is this Feige guy? No. So She-Hulk goes into the room of the She-Hulk Attorney at Law writers, and one writer is to go on and state, like, wait a minute, guys, what if we just go on and state that She-Hulk was dreaming this whole entire time? I have a better idea. What if She-Hulk was dead the whole entire time? Pull a Bruce Willis. We could have gone on and stated that Jen died in a car accident and she never became She-Hulk, and it's just her brain processing before she dies. That wasn't funny. That was yeah, you know. That's a way they could have written off the show. That's harsh, but so because they need to have this character go somewhere, right? For the MCU, they need to wrap her in a team somewhere. So I will admit the dying part kind of went a little far, but that's one goofy idea. Hey guys, what if she was dreaming the whole entire time? Seems like a dumb idea. So She-Hulk goes in with the writers and is like, well, hey, like, who do I have to talk to like, control my show? Control She-Hulk Attorney at Law. And they're going on and they're stating, it's like, well, like, then you're obviously going to have to talk to Kevin. And She-Hulk's like, okay, then bring me to Kevin. And then they're like, no, like, if anything, like, we're gonna, like, have to fight you to protect Kevin. Like, we'll, like, dodge a bullet really for Kevin because we love him so much. And so She-Hulk is just like, So She-Hulk just walks off. She doesn't find anybody. And so she ends up just kind of walking around till she can find some secretary somewhere or some assistant somewhere where she is to ask this guy with the Iron Man suits behind her and the Thanos gauntlet that looks pretty sweet, right? Pretty sweet, right? So we then have She-Hulk that is like, I would like to talk to Kevin. And so the guy's like, okay, sure, go right in. Or no, wait, no, I think he's like, I don't think I can, I don't think we can have you come in here, like, da 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 da. So She-Hulk just starts fighting all these guards, these random guards, to then have one of the security guards need this, like, eye scanning thing for her to go through this door that it's like, yeah, I feel like Marvel Studios is just like this. Copy and paste from the show. So, come to find out, we find out that this guy named Kevin is just this android, this robot. And I'm like, of course, like, that has to gotta be, like, something, like, funny that comes up here. That it's like, oh yeah, of course Feige is to be so good at his job because he's a robot that he can just endlessly just figure it all out and piece it all together. What if Feige ever leaves Marvel? Man, would that be a huge blow. But still, like, they had a whole thing dedicated to a robot being called Kevin in this episode. So I guess, like, he'll go on and just be like, yeah, that's me. That's me, I'm the bot. So we have She-Hulk going and talking to Kevin, and She-Hulk is to go on and ask Kevin all the questions that, of course, any Marvel fan would go on and ask, which is simply like, well, hey, when are the X-Men coming? When is this gonna happen? When is the next so-and-so movie? When So Jen comes in as like a fan of the MCU and is gushing about all of this stuff. So we are to go on and then just have Jen, who's like, you know what, like, but now for my episode, for my season finale, like, you know what, like, I just don't want Todd to be a Hulk. Like, I, like, don't want Titania to be there. Like, you know what, like, I just don't even want Bruce. And Kevin is like, well, wait a minute. Like, there's a big reveal that there's a reason why Hulk came back from Sakaar. And Jen's like, yeah, like, but so She-Hulk is to also say, it's like, well, yeah, and we also definitely need more Daredevil because, of course, we have to have She-Hulk admit that she banged Matt Murdock as if she's going to hold that over everybody for who knows how long. Because, wow, what an accomplishment. You couldn't have said, like, that you went on and you slept with like a billion other people in the MCU. Anyways, so we then push Jen back into her episode, and all they do is just wrap everything up. Todd is all of a sudden arrested by these police officers, taken away. He is to not have Hulk powers, and so we have Blonsky who ends up getting arrested, and so Daredevil just shows up and he's like, hey, yeah, like, I'm here. Like, what do you need me for? It's like, oh, yeah, we're done. It's like, oh, okay. And so all of a sudden, Pug and Nikki are like, oh my god, that's Daredevil. You guys know Daredevil? So it's like a fanboy moment. So we then turn around and just go to, like, right back to where we were, with now Jen going on at her mom and pa's in the backyard, just having this good old fashioned uh, like dinner outside, and all of a sudden Hulk ends up showing up again, while we also have Daredevil that is also just kind of like, hey, yeah, I work in Hell's Kitchen. And the parents are like, yeah, like Hell's Kitchen sounds like a really bad place. It's like, yeah, I really needed this dialogue. When it's called Hell's Kitchen, what comes to mind? Kittens and babies? So, but anyways, Bruce comes in, and now we of course have Matt, who ends up needing the info of who Bruce Banner is, and it's like, oh yeah, I know that guy. Like, we hung out once, I'm sure. So uh, Bruce ends up coming in to reveal that the whole reason why he was in Sakaar the whole time is because he has a son named Scar. And so, for those of you that don't know who Scar is to actually be Hulk's biological son. Really, this character is to mainly be tied into the whole World War Hulk story. But really, for like Scar, like basically it's just another Hulk kind of character. He doesn't really have many unique powers, more so than his dad Hulk. If anything, you can also go on and know about this character through like the Hulk Smash cartoon, where of course we are to have that whole Hulk team with Seth Green playing one of the characters, one of the Hulk characters, which I thought was goofy. So go on and watch Hulk Smash, I guess, because really that's all we got here. Uh, so really at the end of the episode, that's how they just kind of wrap things up with this big reveal of Hulk having a son, and that's how they just kind of kill the episode. And so I was like, okay, well, like who cares? Yay, we get Scar. For what reason? Uh like, that's not really like a character that like mattered. I would have said like Cho would have been way better off, but again, it wouldn't have made sense for Hulk to go all the way to Sakaar to get Cho. That would have made sense. So because Elite, like, so I'm wondering if Scar is gonna get his own show. I don't know why he would, because he's not really an interesting character. Uh, but I'm just assuming that they're gonna need more just killing of time on the Disney Plus network to just, hey, let's do everything. Let's just show all, and just, you know what? If everybody was so high about the Werewolf by Night little showcase, do a Scar showcase. It won't really matter in the whole connection to She-Hulk, but hey, give people an hour worth of Hulk smashing things, and that'd be good enough, right? So, with that said, I'm just gonna go on and wrap this bad boy up to call it a day for this show. Let me know if there's anything that I forgot about, because who cares about this show? Good riddance. Goodbye, She-Hulk attorney at law. Hopefully you never come back. Or if you do come back, freaking get some better writers. I'm hoping they just lump you into a team and boom goes the dynamite. I'll be fine with that. If you're just kind of putting all these characters and chucking them all together to put together some Defenders team or some possible whatever name is left on the Marvel team thing that we haven't used quite yet, then like Heroes for Hire or something, I don't know. We'll figure it out in the meantime. But other than that, I think I mean to just get out of here. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, everybody.